Welcome back everybody, Broadbent here. Today we're doing an overview video of the 0.62 update for the Forest. This update was mainly focused on polish, but without further ado, let's get straight into the changes. The grey panels in the options menu now light up when you hover over them, making it very clear which one is highlighted. They've also updated the look of the multiplayer screen to match the new user interface design. This does look very good, however in my eyes it's still a little bit too small. That browser needs to be bigger. The controller key remapping screen has also been updated to the new design, making it much easier to understand. They've also added a really nice dark background to the options menu when you're in-game. Just makes all the text really clear on screen. Sometimes in bright situations it was hard to read. Do you remember finding all those beach towels that were laying around the world? Well, they've all gone. However, one thing to note is that I was still able to find some in the caves. You'll no longer find unbreakable boxes in the world. Only breakable boxes will now spawn. You can also no longer find loose flares in the world. This has been replaced with more flare crates. The last piece of bone armor in the inventory that looks like a crown has been fixed. The hitbox of it, or like the mesh, was really off. Now it is very easy to highlight and equip. Cannibal Village huts have had a little bit of love. They've added a bit of variation for it. You can see at the back here, we've got these two different designs for the, I guess, like twig layout. And at the front here, we've got one that's completely empty, and then we've got one that has a frame inside it. Just makes it feel a little less like a clone and more like a hand-built structure. Bone and arrow baskets can now be placed on tables. Yes, you heard that right. They have made tables fully functional. What was that, like 6 updates? Crazy. For the two of you that use a gamepad, you can now jump while placing a blueprint. The log sled and stick marker icons have been updated to the new system. You can now toggle these individually and make them invisible and change their color. Yes. Finally. Crocodiles are now much harder to kill as they can do a 180-degree attack. If you walk up behind them, they can turn around really quickly and snap you in the leg. They've also increased the chance of attacking in general situations been around them, so now you've got to be really careful around crocodiles. They've replaced the remaining hits needed to repair a structure with a circular design. It's almost like a pie chart. It will display how many times you need to hit it in a different segment around the circle. One thing to note as well, if you're about to repair a structure that's got quite a few logs knocked out of it, you now can't replace it without putting those logs down first. So you've got to place the logs down first, then you can go ahead and use the hammer to repair it. I'm going to ask you to prepare yourself for this one because all animals can now explode. Yep, you heard that right. You can either use dynamite or you can use the power attack from jumping in the air. The animals will now explode. This works just the same as when you do it with cannibals and mutants. Crazy, crazy stuff. The player now has less chance of doing unintentional ground attacks when you're attacking a cannibal that is lower down than you. I personally noticed this was quite annoying, but now it should be a bit smoother. If you destroy a weapon rack that has items stored on it, it will now drop the items on the floor. You can now retrieve arrows that have been shot into fish. The yacht has got 3 new guests in the bedroom. They've added 3 captain's hats. We've got 1 on the skeleton and then 2 at the side of the bed. It's such a shame we can't wear it. The loading screen hints have now got a new backsplash texture. Placing items in the catapult has been updated to the new design. You can now place an item without going into your inventory. You can cycle through them and then press C to place that specific item. There's a new audio system for when you're inside a structure. This is most noticeable when it's raining and you go ahead and go inside an enclosed structure. Just go ahead and take a listen to this. An update to the language system. They've added Chinese, German and Russian fully. However, they've added Japanese, Korean and Portuguese with only the first 284 keys. Dedicated servers have got some new commands and options. I'm only going to cover one of the changes to dedicated servers, which is the admin commands. In the console, you can type /regrow mode and then put on or off, which will change the game settings. Very nice to see that they're working towards that, but I would like to see a rework of the command prompt. Just looks a little bit outdated and ugly in my opinion. There was a bug in the last patch where crouch mode was inverted when you opened the options menu. That is now fixed. You can now burn birds to death using a flare gun. Birds will no longer fly underneath the ground. This next one's completely baffled me, but apparently player stats were being affected by Armsy knocking down trees. So that's been fixed. What the hell? They've added a proximity check for several blueprints. If you go ahead and try and place some blueprints such as this small hut here inside a tree, for example, it will no longer think that is a valid location. Deer and rabbit skin blueprints will no longer become invisible when you place them on the ground. They have fixed a few terrain issues in the world. So for example, near my cave base, there was this massive rock that was sticking out that was invisible and you could walk up onto it. Now, that has gone. However, one thing to note is that you still, if you hit the ground, it still sounds like rock. I know. I'm nitpicking. Whenever you attack a mutant baby, they will now be covered in blood when struck. Weapon upgrades will now load correctly. There was an issue where it wouldn't apply when you loaded your world. So for example, if you have full 30 feathers on a modern axe, now it will load them in correctly. Most important thing about this is that it is retroactive. So you can load a really old save that has feathers on it, and it will apply to that save too. You can no longer respawn the branches on a treehouse tree once you've placed the treehouse down by chopping the tree. Does that make any sense? The loading screen hint text now states that lit effigies will scare enemies away from camp. This is kind of embarrassing because I didn't know that you had to light them anyway. Kind of makes sense, but never really thought about it. The lighter in the inventory has been updated to use the new texture. I'm pretty sure it was yellow before, but now it is blue. So if you're going around your world with a full inventory of, let's say, coneflower, you've got 10 coneflower in your inventory. You go to pick up another coneflower, it will drop that one on the floor. It will attempt to pick it up, it will drop it as a pickup item on the floor. Previously, it would just delete the item and you wouldn't be able to get it back. So there's been a bunch of multiplayer bug fixes as well, but I'm not going to be going over those in this video. If you want to find a full list of all the changes for this update, use the link in the description. Alright everyone, so that sums up my summary video for the 0.62 update. If you found this video helpful or enjoyed it, please be sure to press the like button. Thanks for watching everyone, and I'll catch you in the next video.